Hello, welcome. This is Steve Suffoletto from Erie Community College near Buffalo, New York. And this presentation is titled The Printing Industry, A Basic Introduction. The purpose of this presentation is to provide new freshman students with a basic introduction to the printing industry. So what I want to do is characterize the industry by its size, its scope, and its diversity. So, in terms of establishments, how many printing companies there are in the United States, presently there's around 25,000. Now, historically, to put this in perspective, our industry peaked in 1995 at about 65,000 printers. Now, 80% of those printers have less than 20 employees. Many of these smaller companies are family-owned and they're multi-generation. So you have the father, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, maybe even grandfathers, things like that. The trend in the industry for establishments is getting smaller and smaller. So we see a lot of mergers and acquisitions. So why would a printing company want to buy another printing company? It's not because they want the building or the real estate, the land, the property. It's not because they want the equipment, because the equipment might be old. It's not because they want the employees, because they think they got the best employees already. It's because they want the customers. They want to buy the customer base. So if you have the customers, you don't have the competition. And there's been a lot of closures. That's because there may be a lot of capacity out there, too much capacity. So there's a lot of competition. When there's competition, people lower their prices. You lose your profits. A lot of people feel now that printing is a commodity where we only compete on price. We don't compete on quality or services rendered. In terms of the number of employees, currently we have about 444,000 employees in the industry. That trend is also down, and for some obvious reasons here. Many years ago, we were very manual, doing things by hand. I'm thinking about pre-press stripping and things like that. And now with automation and technology and robotics and the move towards digital, we've become more efficient, more productive. We just need less people. In terms of sales, the industry has about, in the United States, annual sales is about $82 billion. And this recent trend has been on the upward path. Now, not to make this a business or an economics class, but your profit is equal to the price minus your costs. And for an average typical printing company, their profit margin is only 3%. That's not a lot of money. So the price is what the market will bear, what the customers will pay. And your costs, you have material costs, which keep going up with inflation. You have labor costs that keep going up. And you have overhead costs. So some of these costs are fixed and some of these costs are variable. Earnings. So what could a person earn in our industry? Well, again, it depends. But for a production operator, like in a press room, you're getting paid $20 an hour. So it will depend on your experience, your skill sets, and your years of service. Now, obviously, an entry-level position is going to be much less, maybe somewhere around $13, $14, $15 an hour. Okay, so our industry is segmented. We split it into categories and we classify it. You can do this by the markets. You can do it by the types of products like signs and posters and envelopes, booklets, folders, brochures, etc. Or you can do it by the printing process, the technology that it uses. So we have offset lithography, both sheet-fed and web. We have flexography or flexo. We have gravure, screen printing, letterpress, and then recently we have digital. Now, in terms of printing process technology, our industry is converging. We have a lot of crossover. You used to be just a litho printer, now you're doing digital. You used to be just a commercial printer, now you're doing packaging. So everybody's doing a little bit of everything now. So one classification or segment of our industry is called quick printers, sometimes called copy shops or implants. A copy shop, it's a storefront. It would be a company like Staples or Office Max, Office Depot, UPS, FedEx, Sir Speedy, Allegra. Just a footnote here. If you're young, you probably don't remember this name. FedEx bought out Kinko's in 2004. Implants, these are large corporations or banks or insurance companies or colleges that have their own implant printing companies. For example, I'm thinking of BOCES, the Board of Cooperative Education Services. They have a print and copy center right here in West Seneca, New York. It serves 21 local school districts. So they often print the calendars and the newsletters that get mailed out to the parents of the students. We have commercial printer. This is certainly the largest segment of our industry. This is predominantly sheet-fed offset lithography. A big part of this industry is direct mail. 50% of everything that gets printed gets mailed. And the USPS, United States Postal Service, the postal rate for a first class metered is 50 cents. A postcard is 35 cents. The publication industry would be books, both softcover, paperback, and hardcover, magazines, newspapers, and catalogs. Obviously, the trend here is down, and this is partly because of technology, culture, and society. It's rare to see young people reading a newspaper today. They'd rather be on their smartphones checking social media. We have the packaging industry, and this would include labels that go on cans and bottles, folding cartons, corrugated containers or boxes, flexible packaging for bags, pouches, and wrappers. Most of that flexible packaging is done by flexography. Just think about the increase in the need for corrugated container and boxes for mail ordering. Think about Amazon and things like that. So the trend here in packaging has been great. That's why a lot of commercial printers are trying to get into packaging, because there is no substitute or replacement for packaging. You can't put a box of cornflakes, Rice Krispies, or Cheerios into a USB drive or ship it over the internet. It has to be in a container. So just think about when you go through a grocery store, all the different products that are on those shelves, they have to be printed for packaging. There's industrial printing, which is basically printing on anything that's already been made. Helmets, surfboards, skateboards. If it's already been made and you have to put printing on it, graphics on it, that's industrial printing. You could probably include the garment, textiles, and clothing, which used to be mostly screen printed, but a lot of that is now moving over to inkjet digital. And then there's trade services. These are specialty. For example, in the old days, a printer just printed. They had an outside trade service for pre-press or a service bureau. Today, it's common for printers to subcontract or farm out or outsource bindery. So if you need something, typical finishing operations like die cutting, embossing, hot felt stamping, film lamination, these are typically done by trade services. And then, of course, there's trade printers. The most common one I can think of is a company called 4over.com, and they're located in 7 states. So maybe the business model is you don't do it yourself because it's too expensive, you don't have the expertise, you don't have the equipment. You outsource it, farm it out, subcontract it, mark it up, and then let them worry about it. Now, a lot of these statistics I just provided to you come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There's something called the North American Industry Classification System, and this is a multi-digit number. If it's 323 something, it's the printing industry. And the printing industry is classified as being a manufacturing industry where we produce goods, not services. And this NAICS code is self-defined by the business when they file their taxes. So there's also number 511, which is the publishing industry. And unfortunately, in early 2019, the Bureau of Labor Statistics decided to stop tracking the code 323, which is for commercial printing. And the reason they stated for that was because the industry is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's going to be more challenging now to keep track of these statistics. So we have other trade organizations and trade associations that can do this. So recently, Printing Industries of America, PIA, and the Specialty Graphics Imaging Association, SGIA, have merged and consolidated. They are now called Print United Alliance, and their website is printing.org. The PIA has 20 local chapters nationally. There's one right here in Buffalo, New York. Tim Freeman is the president of it, and it's called Printing Industries Alliances. They also have 3 chapters in Canada. So, what's the future of our printing industry? Printing is not dead. It's been around for hundreds of years. It'll continue to be around for hundreds of years, but it is certainly changing. Think about how radio was a competing technology to books, and how television was a competing technology to radio, and how cable satellite was a competition to broadcast television, and now how internet and streaming services are competition to all of those other ones. And then we can think about how offset lithography was competition to letterpress, and how now today digital is competition to offset, and how digital inkjet is going to be competition to digital laser. So things are changing, and we're keeping current with the changes. We're becoming more digital. So print is everywhere. Just look around. I invite you and challenge you to just take a second and look around and see how many things have been printed. It's amazing. So print is everywhere. And today, our printing industry is very high tech. We compete with other major industries. We're very sophisticated. So I want to thank you, and I appreciate your attendance and participation. Hopefully you found this presentation interesting and informative, and I invite you to please provide feedback for continuous improvement. Until we meet again, have a good day. Bye now.